Welcome back to Visited by Voices. We're not quite live tonight, but we have a good reason for that. Sometimes when you have to navigate 9.5 or 10.5 hours of time difference around the globe, you do what you have to do. I'm so proud, though, to be joined not only by my co-host Sam, but also by the director of Zombie Reddy, a film that, if you watch the channel, you know we are over the moon about. And we did a full panel episode on. But the director of that film, Prasanth Varma. Hey, Prasanth.
Hi guys. How are you?
Good. It is. It's just past midnight here. It's just past 9 there. I would ask how things are going, but all the news right now seems to be pretty challenging right now in India.
Yeah, it's pretty bad out here, but we are surviving.
I'm hoping you're staying safe.
Yeah. Right now we're all working virtually. We are writing my next film, which is again something really interesting. But we are doing it virtually. All the writing team is working from their homes.
Awesome. So I ask everyone the first question, especially anyone who's been working inside the horror genre, which obviously Zombie Reddy is a horror comedy, but it well transverses the tropes of the genre. Do you have a long history with the genre as a fan? Did you grow up with horror?
I do, yes. I did watch. I think Evil Dead was the first horror film that I watched while I was growing up, and it scared the shit out of me. And I was a kid. The whole cousins and everyone were there watching the film, and it was in the night, uh, and I think in Telugu, the regional language that we make films here, I think it was Dayam. That means ghost. Ghost was the first horror film that I watched, and yeah, I do. I used to get scared of ghosts when it, it's in the night only. I get scared of ghosts only in the night. In the day, I'm not scared at all. So it was like that, and at this one point of time, I was supposed to narrate a horror film. It was almost like 8 years ago, and I got a chance with an actor, with a star here, and also a producer, and they wanted to make a horror film, and I was supposed to pitch them a horror film in 2 days. So I had to write a horror film, and I think I watched horror for 48 hours, like without break. For 48 hours, I was continuously watching all the horror films that is ever out there. So I was watching like every horror film that is out there, and I think there was so much negativity in my room. Like when I was watching, I could feel that the presence of ghosts
Bad
around me and
vibes.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So after 48 hours, I finished writing the film, and I pitched it. They liked it, but things didn't happen. The film didn't take off. But yeah, horror is something that I really love exploring, and I do love all kinds of genres. I think my first film, Awe was a genre bender. So it had 5 different genres in one single film. So Zombie Reddy was my third film as a director, but Awe was my first film. It won some national awards and stuff like that, and it had 5 different genres. It had romance, it had fantasy, it had time travel, science fiction, and it had horror. So the film shifts the genre every 10 minutes. So yeah, we did something really crazy at that point of time, and then zombie is something that I really love. Like I've been trying to make this film called Zombie Ready for almost like 8 years. So, and it was the first film in Telugu which dealt with zombies. So in regional language, it was the first one. Yeah.
That was all over the marketing materials. In fact, they were really stressing that was the first Telugu zombie film. There's a film between there called Kalki. which was an
Kalki.
action film you made.
Yeah, that was my second film. Yeah,
I haven't had the
yeah, it was
ability
an
to.
investigative thriller. It was an investigative thriller set in 1983. So yeah, that's there on Amazon Prime, I think.
Awesome. Now you've got you. This year must have been pretty much a huge boost in the arm for you because Zombie Reddy did really take off at the box office, especially at a time when it
Yes,
was
yes,
hard to do so. Right? I mean,
correct, correct.
yeah, not every theater was open, but the film was a big critical success, and it did get international distribution. I saw it in the theaters here. Now, admittedly, there wasn't many theaters
Oh,
showing
great.
it, and I had to drive a
Awesome.
decent distance. But I can tell you that besides people who thought I was in the wrong theater, I cannot even explain like how much excitement was in the theater on that Friday when the audience was watching. They were more animated watching the film than I've seen in any recent horror film. I think I'd have to go back to when I was a young man in the 80s really to see an audience that was as engaged. So if you're wondering how
Awesome.
it did in America to the audience that had an ability to see it, tremendous.
Awesome. That's so good to hear. I love. It's so good to hear.
Now we definitely have favorite members of the cast, but what I have to say is overall the cast of Zombie Reddy is amazing. Sam, I know you have a very specific character who's your favorite, which is out of the box, so I'd love you to share that.
Yeah, my favorite character is Kasi Reddy. I have a friend that has a very similar mustache, and every time I saw him pop up on screen, then I just thought of my friend Nick, and it was very easy to get to know him as a character. And I really love all the little personal touches you put on the characters too. Everybody has their own personality.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Lauren, who was your favorite again? I
Oh,
forgot.
So, which one was your favorite character again?
Oh, mine
Who
was
was your
Kasi.
favorite character again?
Oh, Kasi.
Kasi.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi Reddy. Yeah.
Kasi Reddy, yes.
Oh, and as
Yeah, the one who slaps his thighs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and climbs up the tree. But he just reminded me of my friend Nick so much, I
Yeah.
couldn't help it.
Yeah.
uh,
Great. So,
I'm a simple man. Maggie's my favorite character. So
Maggie is wonderful.
Maggie's amazing because she sleepwalks through the film until she comes to be complete badass when she needs to. So she's amazing. And you
great.
gave her the tragic arc, which I love too, because I kind of love when characters I like don't have a happy time of it. I don't know what that is. Probably masochism in me somewhere. But the cast is so amazing. Were these people that you went after specifically for the roles, or did they audition, or was it a mixture?
It was a mixture. There were some people that I already know, and they were friends with me. So I thought it will be cool to have them on the in the film. And there were, I think, very few characters that I've auditioned. Like Maggie was auditioned, and Teja, I mean, the main lead, the hero of the film, the main protagonist, is a friend of mine. So he's been a friend of mine for almost like 8 to 10 years. So he's a great actor, and I thought like let's make a film with him. So and that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Teja's
I'm really surprised that yeah, yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, like, I think he's been acting like a child actor for almost like 50 films. Like he started acting when he was 2 years old.
wow.
Whoa.
So he was, yeah. So I think it was his 50th film that he got introduced as the main lead. But he's done more than 50 films, like
My
as a
goodness.
child artist. But I'm pretty happy and amazed that you guys really love the film because Zombie Ready is really a very regional film. Like though that has zombie concept in it, but it is set up. I mean, like a lot of jokes were has references like the Dead and stuff like that. So they pay homage to a lot of classic Hollywood films. So like that, I paid homage to a lot of Telugu regional films, and and there were lots of jokes and lots of references. There were some Easter eggs and stuff like that. And people who watched a lot of Telugu cinema get most of the jokes. But I'm surprised that you guys love the film without even. I'm sure out of 100 jokes that I put out there, I'm sure you might have only received some 50 of them.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think that, I mean, we're not going to get all of them, but I mean, I really enjoyed being able to just watch a movie from an entirely different culture that I'm not familiar with, and I can still, and still being able to get the jokes too.
Right.
I think a lot of that came through with all the video game references.
Right. So if you love that scene where Kasi Reddy, he asks that other guy, the main protagonist, to slap his thigh, right? So he's jumping in the in the middle of a very fucked up situation. So he asks him to slap his thigh. So that's a very famous, iconic scene in a very old Telugu film. So when Teja was a child actor, when the main lead was a child actor, so he slaps his thigh so pretty hard. There is a thunder that comes out of there. There was this graphics and everything. It was an iconic scene in the very old Telugu film. So the reference was that. Like he was a child actor, he slapped his thigh. Like slapping the thigh in Telugu cinema is basically telling the other person that he is in charge of the situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it still plays though, even without the reference, because it's just something that comes out of nowhere and it's unexpected. Even without the reference, I think it plays. Right. Because it's slapstick, right? And I think to a certain degree, certain things like the zombie thing, the slapstick, the sped up film when he climbs the tree, those are all kind of international film language that transcends all borders anyway.
Yeah, I thought the leg slapping, honestly, I watch a lot of pro wrestling, so when I see somebody slapping their leg, I'm thinking, hey, maybe somebody's going to deliver a really good kick. So I enjoyed that. I thought it was funny, but just for a completely different reason.
Now, zombies are a really popular movie monster, a popular trope, because they as a metaphor, they're so serviceable. They can do a lot of different things inside a story. I mean, obviously in Zombie Reddy, you're using to kind of discuss like, a splinter in the society between two factions, and the fact that they won't let go of petty grudges even when there's this pandemic that everyone should be coming together. And the zombie is a perfect trope to use. How did you come up with the concept? Was that just something that had over those 8 years evolved, or because obviously 8 years ago you wouldn't have known that we would have been in a pandemic?
Yes, the pandemic idea was not there, but I always had an idea of a virus. It was not COVID for sure, but I had a virus that I never named. So when COVID hit the world, I thought, why don't I name it COVID, so that it is very relatable. Audience will understand it more easily. So, but this idea of setting this faction genre, like the revenge genre, is pretty famous in Telugu. So there were, I think, more than hundreds of films were out there. So that discusses about two rival families trying to kill each other. So there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of films are there. Most of the characters in the film, like there is an old guy who is paralyzed and stuck in a chair, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a very famous character that you see in all the faction films. So it's like it's a indirect joke to that particular trope. So there is always a guy in the chair saying that other person to go kill that guy, take your revenge. So it's like that. So that's the reference, and we've never seen that particular character get out of the chair. So he's always stuck in the chair. So I thought it is really cool if he becomes zombie and gets up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love
So
hearing all
yeah,
this extra context. That's awesome.
right.
So in recent years, Telugu and Tamil films have really gotten a lot more spotlight, and arguably, I'm going to argue this if no one else will, have surpassed Bollywood in terms of pure film. I'm reminded, my favorite film of 2019 was Game Over, which I think was simply a brilliant film, and I think it is the most accomplished slasher film ever made. Period. Full stop.
I love that film. Yeah.
I have it right here. It's right there. I have a poster of it behind me.
Great.
So clearly I love it. But what do you think has caused that? Why do you think that the more regional films have really taken off and gotten the kind of notice more recently than perhaps in the past?
I don't know. I think over the time, I mean, like slowly, what has happened in North India, like Bollywood, is because more than trying to make cinema, do cinema as an art, it has become a business. Like the business has taken over the art portion of making films. So they've started relying on remakes. So in India, we have multiple languages, right? We have Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, Kannada, Hindi, and we have many other languages, right? So if one film works in one language, it gets remade into other languages. So it's basically easy, to remake a film because it's already been made, it's already been tested, the audience loved it. So you just buy the rights of the film and remake it in the other language. So what has happened over the last few years is Bollywood had started remaking a lot of regional content, remaking Telugu films, Tamil films. I'm sure there are some great films that have come in Bollywood as well, like Tumbad, and some great films have come in Bollywood for sure. But the major stars, the big stars, uh, have started working more in remakes than original cinema, original content. So I think that is the trend. And if you look at the comment section in YouTube also, there are so many people from North that are watching regional content because they know for sure that someday these films are going to be remade in Bollywood. So
Yeah, well,
and you see, yeah,
I had that experience with Kalim Kalam. I know I'm butchering the language here. Well, I didn't realize that I had already seen that movie until I started watching it because it had already been made, and I was like, wait. And if I'm getting that in North America, then clearly there's a lot of repetition going on right now in Bollywood.
Right.
Obviously, the regional films handle music very differently too than Bollywood proper.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about your collaboration with Mark Robin? Because the music in Zombie Reddy is, again, amazing.
Mm-hmm. Chef's kiss.
So
Good.
yeah, thanks. So we collaborated already before for my first film called Awe, and it was his first film, and it had different genres, and the shifting of the genre is supposed to be seamless, and he was fantastic. Like he was really good. And for my second film, I worked with another music director. But when I wanted to make Zombie Reddy, like I thought Robin was the right choice because like I mean, like Zombie Reddy is basically two completely different things. Zombie is Western, and Reddy is very local, like very Indian. So how Zombie is iconic Hollywood stuff, Reddy is iconic Telugu stuff. So we had many Reddy films, like we had Arjun Reddy, we had Samarsimha Reddy, we had uh, many Reddy films, like like many films that ends with Reddy. So it's like Shaun of the Dead. You've already seen Dawn of the Dead. So Shaun of the Dead is just a satire on the Dawn of the Dead. So like Zombie Reddy is a satire on Samarsimha Reddy, right? So I needed someone who can basically mix the Western music with a very native Indian music. So Robin was really good at that, and we kind of experimented a lot. We tried many different things. We tried to score the film differently. Like if you look at the second half portion of the film, we tried many different versions, and finally this hilarious version is what we locked on. And yeah, I think he's an amazing guy, and it was really fun coming up with a lot of. Even if you look at this song called Go Karuna, so Go Karuna, Go is there, no? So that is something that we came up with, and it went viral here.
It got a big reaction out of the panel. They had a lot to say about it, about how brave it was. That would never be allowed in America. Like to have a sense of humor about something as serious is just.
Yeah.
America's in a very serious place at the moment, and I think that's why they had such a good time with the movie. By the way, because it seemed fearless, as crazy as it is for like a song and a zombie movie to take on coronavirus with a tongue in cheek. That's something that American cinema can't do right now.
Yes, we're very sensitive about anything related to it.
Even we were a little afraid that it might hurt few sentiments here in India, but I think everybody took it very lightly, and it was so much fun. If you look at all the lyrics in the song, they all really happened during the COVID lockdown in India. So all the shots that you see were all inspired from the real life incidents. There were like, if you understand every line in the song, every line is a punch, every line is a joke that has really happened in India. And we were the first unit to start shooting after COVID lockdown. Zombie Reddy was the first one to start shooting, and everyone else followed.
So
That's
was
really
that,
brave.
yeah. Was that especially challenging? Was there a lot of resistance to filming during this time?
Not really. Like there were few actors who were little reluctant to come on board, but most of them were like more than happy to come back onto the sets, because like everybody is very passionate about cinema here. Even if you look at that old lady Annapurna Magaru, who was acted in the film, that old lady, if she runs on the treadmill and all that. And I think she's done more than 1,000 films in Telugu, probably 2,000, 3,000 films in Telugu. So she's been acting from her childhood. And she was pretty brave. She was pretty brave when I was really hesitant when I was asking her, would you be able to come to the set and act in this situation? But she said, yeah, why not? I'd rather die on the set than in my home. That's what she said.
Wow.
I'd have that attitude. It's a good attitude to have.
That's amazing. Like I had tears in my eyes. Like they were so passionate about cinema. So a lot of people, like we were shooting with. During lockdown, nobody had work. All the fight masters, fighters, extras, and all these people had no work here. So I think they've suffered for like 2-3 months during the lockdown period, during the quarantine period. So when we started shooting again, obviously we had to take care of a lot of precautions and sanitizing and all that stuff. And they came to us and they said, I think we feel more safer on the set than at our home, because like you guys are taking so much good care of us, and even if something bad happens, we'll be more than happy, because like we'd rather work and die than sit back home and die of hunger. And they've really blessed the film, and there were hundreds of people who's come to us on the last day of the shoot, and they said during this difficult times, you were the only people who was given food to us, and I think this film will become such a big success. I think all the blessings and all really worked, and the film really did really good.
That is wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah,
I was wondering if I could ask a couple of questions about two of your short films, since I saw them
sure,
on YouTube earlier. Uh,
sure.
a Silent Melody and Dialogue in the Dark.
Yeah.
And after watching those, after seeing Zombie Reddy and then watching those, it really made me notice the character development more. Just there are the very fine touches. But I was wondering what gave you the inspiration for those short films, and did any of that translate into any of your other movies?
Definitely a real life instance. Silent Melody was a real life instance that has happened to me. I mean, like when I was, I actually was supposed to do another short film, and I met my music director friend who worked with me on Kalki, so Shravan. So we met in a coffee shop, and I was narrating him a short story that I wrote at that point of time. I was supposed to do something else. So when I was narrating, I saw a couple on the other table, and they were conversing in the sign language. The girl was conversing in the sign language, and the guy could understand her like really easy. Like, it was so easy for him to understand what she's saying. And I got so distracted narrating this story to my friend, and I was observing them. So I was like, okay, I'm not. Let's not do this. Let's do that. So immediately I went back home, and there was also a girl. I think it was also shot in my apartment. Like, when I was
Oh, cool.
where I used to stay, that was the balcony that I used to go and talk on phone and stuff like that. And the same balcony that you see on the other side, I used to see a girl there. So it was almost like a real life thing. I got inspired from two real life incidents. One is the balcony, that the same thing that I shot in, and the second one is that coffee shop couple. So that's the inspiration for Silent Melody. And coming to the Dialogue in the Dark, I think there is really a restaurant like that. I don't know if it's there out there in your area, but we have that restaurant in Hyderabad where we are staying.
Oh, okay. We don't,
So it's a real
unfortunately.
life. Okay, so it's a real life place. Like, it's a very interesting idea where it's completely dark, and you go there, and you have to give out all your mobile phones, everything that can emit little bit of light from them, and it'll be dead dark, and you cannot see a thing in that. And so you will have to eat all your food by just feeling it. You'll not even know what you're going to eat, and it's a very limited menu that they have, and it's an experience of a lifetime. Like, you really feel like, you will really understand how a blind person goes through a day. So it's only 1 hour that it will be impossible for you. It's not easy, but that experience is amazing. It's once in a lifetime experience, and I always when I went there for the first time, I wanted to do something about it.
That is
So
amazing. Fortunately,
yeah,
Texas is too backwards to have a cool restaurant like that.
and
I definitely got a lot of vibes since I know you work with a lot of different genres, and those short films, I could kind of see how that translated into your other movies. I really want to see
yeah,
Raw, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet. So,
please do. It's there on
yes,
Netflix.
yes, absolutely, it is on the list. Do not worry.
And yeah, thanks. And in the Dialogue in the Dark restaurant, the last twist that you get before you leave the restaurant is whoever works inside the restaurant are all blind people.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
they will
amazing.
guide you, and you'll not know that initially, but before you leave the restaurant, they'll tell you that, so far whoever you spoke to, so far whoever worked with you, so far whoever served you food, were all visually impaired.
That's awesome. I
visually
wish we had
challenged.
that.
Yeah,
I would tell
it's
you
a
that
great idea. They're providing employment for these people at the same time. They're giving once in a lifetime experience for people like us.
Yeah.
that may be the single thing America needs the most because it would teach some empathy, which was what one of the things we are
Very
most
much.
direly in need of at the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So America, while we're talking about America, the horror genre here has fallen into two camps. There's this what they call elevated horror, which would be like a film like The Witch or Hereditary, or what people consider just dumb fun, right? And
Right.
they're really, really strict camps. Really, they don't really touch each other. But Zombie
Right.
Reddy is kind of like the perfect middle ground because it's smart, but it never feels like it's pretentious or it's talking down to you. It's a very street level
Right.
film, even though it's about stuff. And
Right.
was that an intentional choice to go with that middle? So, or was it just natural to end up there?
No, it was definitely intentional. I My first film was critically really acclaimed and it made decent money, but a lot of people didn't understand the film. So in India, they categorize audience like A, B, C, or A center audience, B center audience, and C center audience. So it's like people who understands, who appreciates a complex narratives and stuff like that are called A center audience. And then it goes to B and it goes to C center audience that uh, they will come to theater just to have some fun, songs, fights, like their favorite actor beating crap out of other people and stuff like that. They don't really come to theater to appreciate art and all that kind of stuff. So for them it is just entertainment, right? Okay, so and movies that fall into that genre make a lot of money here in India, instead of these kind of A center audience kind of film, so the niche films that we are saying. So the C center audience films are called large audience cinema. So I initially, I intentionally dumbed it down a little, and I wanted everyone to understand the film, and I wanted to. That was intentional to take the mid ground. So I wanted it to be new for the A center audience. Even for the A center audience, they've never watched a zombie film in Telugu, so they will get excited about it. At the same time, even if you take the scene center audience, they would love to watch all this fun, even if they don't understand what zombie is. That's the point. So they don't really care what zombie is. So they just need to look at it like a monster, and they will come to theater only to have the fun, only to have fun. So that was intentional to take the mid ground.
I think it's a really smart approach.
Yeah.
Because I think that one of the reasons I think it translates as well as it does is simply
Yeah.
because you get all the visceral thrills. The big fight scene at the end might be the best zombie fight ever put on film. It really
Oh.
might be. It's amazing,
Great.
and I love the fact that the weapons are so regionally specific, and that it also has a religiously informed context. I love all
Right.
that, as well as a pop culture reference, all the cartoons and everything being used. I think all that's brilliant, and it works really well visually. So it's going to satisfy the person who wants the Zack Snyder, big action film. But on the other hand,
Right.
you have meaning there. You still were able to inject meaning, and I think that again, at the moment, I just don't see America doing that. We can make great, thoughtful horror, but then it can't have fun.
Right. Correct.
And I love some of that stuff, but I'm very thankful about the middle ground that you reached.
So there were many mythological references in the film as well. The regional references that you are talking about, the gada that hero hits zombies with, and the trident that the heroine uses, and the shield that one of the friend character uses. They're all references of Hindu mythology. Hindu mythological characters, the gods, and all these people use those weapons. So, for people who don't really understand what zombie is, so I made it clear for them. See, it is simple. Even if you don't understand zombies, you understand demons, right? So we call in mythology, Hindu mythology, Rakshasas, Asuras. So I've compared zombies with asuras, and the actors, the main heroes, with gods with their weapons, so that it is easy for them to. It is just a fight between good versus evil. So I think, yeah, that was the approach.
That I thought that was a great approach. Honestly, really clever. And I wanted to ask, how does the Shiva Lingam? How did you come to put that in the story as well?
Yeah. In unlike, I think, I don't know, but you please do enlighten me. I think Zombie Reddy was the only film that gave a happy ending for a zombie film.
I
Is
think
there
you
any
are
other?
correct. I don't think I've seen any zombie movies where everybody gets to live.
Do you?
Or
I mean,
can
like,
you
do
think?
you
I don't
guys?
think I can think of any.
Can you think of any?
Chud 2, Bud the Chud, maybe?
I don't know. I didn't
But
see
it's a deep cut if I can find one. It's a real deep cut if I can find one.
Yeah.
But you see,
Yeah.
but what's brilliant about that is that allows, if you didn't have a happy ending, you couldn't have fulfilled the story about the father properly.
Yes.
Right.
There would be no room for it. So it's
Yeah.
necessary, but it's very smart.
Yeah. So the Telugu audience love happy endings. Yeah, like, if you give them sad ending, they'll hate you. So it's very, very, very rare. Like, probably 0.1% films that work that has this a sad ending in Telugu. So they need a happy ending. They want to go home with a very happy, eating full meals, all kinds of food, kind of feeling. So I could not afford a sad ending climax, and it is easy to do a sad ending. Any zombie film, like, sad ending is easy, but giving a happy ending to a zombie film is something that I thought it is very challenging and very new to do. So in India, people really believe in gods, like Shiv Lingam. He has many names. I chose Mrityunjaya. So Mrityunjaya means the one who can win over death.
Mm.
So Mrityum means death. Jaya means winning. So winning over death. I mean, like, the god who can beat death is called Mrityunjaya. So I thought it is relevant and very logical if I bring him in. But I wanted to give both scientific and also a devotional ending to the climax. So the scientific part of it didn't really come out the way I wanted it to, because if you look at in the first half, there is uh, a pujari, a temple priest, will tell them the greatness of the Shivalingam. How the water comes,
Hmm.
The Ganga water is considered as really sacred and really pure. Uh, so Ganga is a river in India. So Ganga also has a mythological reference. There is a character called Ganga. So what people believe in India is, if anyone drinks that Ganga water, all their sins are washed away.
Ah.
So yeah, so they believe it is the purest thing, and it is very sacred. And if even if you put a little bit of water on their head, so all their sins will be washed away. That's what people believe in.
I thought that was I really enjoyed seeing the blend of religion and science also in the movie too, and
Yeah.
that's also something that I'm not seeing in a lot of movies here either.
Yeah, the science part of it, if I have to explain, what we wrote, but it really didn't translate it on screen. We couldn't translate it on screen in detail because we thought it was too much at that point of time. But what we wrote is basically not only the devotional angle, coming through the science perspective. This Ganga river originates from Himalayas. So from Himalayas, it travels towards south in India. So it passes through a lot of medicinal herbs and stuff like that. And the reason why it gets all the medicinal properties is because it passes through a lot of herbs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And scientifically, like it gets those properties to cure illnesses.
Yes, and I'm a big
So I
believer
think,
in that as
yeah,
well. I mean, I think our mainstream audiences here wouldn't get it.
right.
No, I mean, like in
You're not
America,
wrong.
we're not, we're not very open minded about stuff. I'm sorry, it's true, but
Yeah.
I did really like that about the movie, and I loved the happy ending, and I loved seeing the dad at the end walking around. I'm like, sweet. I mean, he's still a zombie, but at least he's walking now. He seems happier.
Yeah.
I love the idea that you start with a couple splintered families, actually, whether it's Mario's nuclear family, as it were, or his work family. Right? There's someone missing already, and he's getting married, and they're fighting over this glitch in the program.
Right.
And at the end, we get to see both those families restored. That scene in the Jeep at the very end is really important. It's not just a throwaway joke about teasing a sequel, which we'll talk about in a second.
Right.
But it's important because it really does resolve the story.
Right.
So again, as a writer, I thought the film was amazingly well done and done without a lot of exposition. You showed rather than tell all throughout, and that's admirable in today's film world, to be honest with you, because no matter where films are coming from, I see a lot of exposition on screen. And it was very cool to see someone visually tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for that. And for me, it is very boring to shoot exposition through dialogue. So I always choose. I'll always look for ideas to show it visually. Like for me, it is so boring to shoot exposition. I think that the only exposition scene that I had in the film was when the temple priests tell them about the greatness of this water. So I couldn't find any other better way to put it out there.
But even there, it's serving dual purposes because there's a character
Yeah.
dynamic being developed at the same time. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's smart. It's very good.
Yeah.
So at the end of the film, you kind of not subtly tease the idea of a sequel.
Yeah.
So what's the over under on that?
I think the idea of sequel was there from the beginning. Like we always wanted to do the sequel for this, which is level 2, how the games work. So the Zombie Reddy level 1 and level 2 will be Revenge of the Dead. So I wanted to call it Revenge of the Dead, where the dead comes out and they are about to take revenge. So part 1 dealt with virus related zombies, but you do know that there are other kinds of zombies. So we are going to explore that other kind of zombie in the sequel that can definitely be not cured with this water. Yeah. So
Awesome. So
we are currently writing it. I think there is 2 other films that I'm supposed to finish before I take up on the sequel of Zombie Reddy.
So by your current pace of making films, we're looking at 2024?
No, I do shoot pretty quickly, probably 2023.
I'll take it.
Only because of
Sold.
Yeah. Only because of the COVID lockdown, I had 6 months break, but usually we try to finish a film in 7 months max, let's say 6-7 months.
And I imagine with the success of Zombie Reddy, like financing is probably not as hard as it was.
Yes, definitely not. Right now, I've got funds ready for my next 3 films already.
Ooh,
That
that's
is
awesome.
a great thing.
So happy for you.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what would be your dream project if there was no boundaries? What would you do?
Uh, I'm working on something currently, but I'm not supposed to put it out yet. That's still confidential. But yeah, there is a very big plan. Uh, and definitely for Telugu, it is very big, very very big. So I think maybe in a month I'll be able to put it out. Like this is the big plan.
Cool.
That's
Well,
awesome.
Yeah.
well, I want to let you know that there is an audience in America for your work, definitely.
Hmm.
And I know that I
Great.
never want you to make films for us because that would defeat the whole purpose. But what I want you to know is that we're
Yeah.
out there, and there's people around the world that are rooting for you. And I know that you don't
Awesome.
always hear that because it's kind of like America tends to be a black hole of narcissism that keeps looking in the mirror and not looking outside our borders. But know that's not all of us, and a lot of us were
That's so
really
good to hear.
thrilled.
That's so good to hear.
A lot of us were really
I'm
thrilled with
really
your
glad.
film, and we can't wait for more. And we want you to
I
work in other
promise you
genres,
to.
but you need to come back to us too.
No, no, I do. I definitely promise you to deliver films that are internationally original. Most of the times when films are made here, uh, most of them are like free mix. You might have seen a similar kind of film somewhere, but when I try to do a film in a particular genre, I kind of watch all the content that is ever out there in all languages, English, French, Korean, and all the films, and try to make something that has never been done before. So I can definitely promise you that I'll be making films that you will feel that I've never seen something like this before.
That's exciting just hearing it. I
And
can't wait.
that's the kind of passion I wish filled Hollywood, but I don't hear that kind of thing ever anymore, ever. So I'm going to tell you this too. Please never come to Hollywood. Never do it. Keep making movies where you
No.
are because Hollywood would corrupt you, and I don't want that to happen. You're too good where you are.
I mean, take their money, but don't cheat.
Well, yeah, well, the money, but only if they don't bother you.
No, right now I think Telugu cinema is going international, and initially when I wanted to become a filmmaker, obviously like any other filmmaker, I wanted to direct one film, and I wanted to direct one Marvel film, and and it was like that. But now it's changed. I think now I should be telling stories of my people, my locality, and I'm sure they're pretty original for international audience. And yeah, I mean, like I don't know if you know a film called Bahubali. It was internationally famous. Now it's all about pan Indian films and like pan world films, even in Telugu.
Well, I'm not familiar with it, but it's going to go on the list.
Please
Every
do. It's a big. It's Bahubali is like one of the big films that we've done in Telugu, and it's of international standard.
Well, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Lauren, you have to remind me to watch it, okay?
I'll add it to the list, my list, and you can crib off my notes.
Okay.
Prasanth, I want to really thank you for getting with us tonight. This morning for you. It's incredible. When I reached out to you, I didn't know whether you'd respond or whether you'd have any interest of talking to just, a guy in New Jersey and a lady in Texas. I had no idea that you would be so forthcoming, and you've been great the whole process. And your film just kicks ass. So we want to let you know that it means a lot that you came in and talked to us today. And believe me, if there's anything we can help do to spread the word, we're in.
Yeah. I'm always down for spreading
Thank you.
zombies.
Thank you so much for having me here. And I mean, like I did check the panel discussion that you had. I know
Mhm.
I've watched a couple of minutes in that, and I really felt nice. Like when international audience love your film, and it really feels great. Like for the filmmaker, it doesn't really matter how much the money the film makes, but the kind of audience, like how much the story that I wanted to tell, how many people I was able to tell. So, and yeah, I'm really glad that my film really entertained you, and I'm looking forward to entertain you more.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Yes, thank
sir.
you so much. It was an honor, honestly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, everyone out there, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.